So Tom, what's up? The two brothers are back doing another spoiler-filled review of Mandalorian, the Jedi.
Yes, the Jedi.
The
So,
Jedi.
yes. So, was it everything that you ever dreamed?
Yes, it was everything that I dreamed. I just wished it was an hour or two longer. Just wished
Yeah,
it-
that is exactly how I felt as I was watching it. I was really sitting here like, oh man. I mean, I could sit there, I could watch 17 straight hours of what I'm watching right now.
My sentiments exactly. And this goes back to the recurring theme that you and I have had, that it's a payoff for viewers who watched the Clone Wars, who watched the Rebels, who read the Legends novels or the comic books. You never went into it thinking that you would eventually see these characters in live action, but there was always a glimmer of hope that you may see them in live action, and it was the payoff today. I mean,
Ex-
we have had other payoffs this season, but to
Yes.
see an actual Jedi from the that was created in the animated world now brought to the live action world, couldn't ask for any more.
I completely agree with you. I felt like, I was hoping they weren't going to short us on Ahsoka, because you know how it's kind of like the one thing we want so badly from this series is to see the Jedi, and so they'll show us like the last scene in the show, or we see her in shadow and they hint at her. But no, it was a complete. It was more of Ahsoka Tano than there was of Din Djarin.
Yes.
So
When you first see Ahsoka Tano, she is slicing and dicing androids in the forest.
yes, and so it's like, Dave Filoni. Hats off
Bravo,
to Dave Filoni. Yes,
bro. Hmm.
he really brought that character to life. And
Oh, and also let's give a little background to the character for those who aren't sure just who Ahsoka Tano is. I mean, if you're familiar with Star Wars, the lightsaber is a dead giveaway, and the fact that it's not red, she is a Jedi, but she also was Anakin Skywalker's only apprentice.
that is
He
correct.
had an apprentice in the animated series, the Clone Wars.
That is correct. Um, so yeah, I mean, and the reason this was a big deal that Dave Filoni created, that Filoni directed this particular episode is because Dave Filoni was the actual creator of Ahsoka Tano, where she was first seen in the Clone Wars animated movie all those years back, and the character then also
Uh,
was seen in the Clone
that
Wars.
was a god awful film, but
Was
okay.
it? No, I thought it was
Yes.
okay. And then and then she her character picked up into the Clone Wars animated series, and
And
then
was again picked up in Rebels.
right, and that was a lot. And then she's also had her own books, her own novel, and so she is a very very large character in the extended universe of Star Wars, and so to finally see her live action. I want to also just say that Rosario Dawson really did a great job of bringing her to life. I mean, I had no expectations, but I was pleasantly surprised by um, the amount of wisdom that she brought because she is an older Ahsoka Tano.
But that's the only issue that I have. Like
Mm.
Rosario Dawson could play age 25 to 45.
Very true. Very true.
So it's like, and if we're just going based on the math, so let's say Anakin Skywalker at this time would have been what, probably 50.
Maybe. I'm not. I'm always bad with that.
Yeah, well, I
Oh no,
mean,
no, no. Wait, 17 years after the Battle of 17. No, this was the Battle of Yavin took place, what, 17 years after the Clone War. So at the end of the Clone Wars, Anakin was,
this would be 23 years later. Let's say at the end of the Clone Wars, Anakin was 25, 28,
okay, so
30.
like 48. So he'd be like 48.
Yeah, so Ahsoka Tano was, you always knew she was younger than Anakin. You weren't exactly how much younger she
But
was.
she's also Togrusian. So it's hard. Like we don't know how that race ages, or we have no
Oh,
idea.
yeah. Yeah, that's getting lost in the weeds. But let's get back to the actual episode today. So go ahead, Tom.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna, run through it really quickly because we have a lot of things to get through, and we're gonna try and keep this episode, a little briefer than our usual episodes. But the Mandalorian heads to this planet, which I cannot remember, but it was stated in the last episode. And when he arrives at the episode actually opens up with Ahsoka Tano fighting these androids and these soldiers in the woods. She gets to the gates. The magistrate says that she will not tell her the information that she's looking for, and she will torture people if she keeps trying to proceed. The woman then, Ahsoka Tano says she will be back tomorrow, and she will get the answers that she's looking for. The Mandalorian lands. When he comes to the planet, he actually goes to where this fortress where the magistrate lives. The magistrate says she will give him a pure Beskar spear if he can find Ahsoka Tano. He then goes into the wilderness looking for Ahsoka Tano, but for his own reasons, which we all know what those are, is to train and take the child. He goes into the forest. A small battle ensues, which shows both of their prowess. But then
it shows just how effective Beskar armor is against a lightsaber.
And then he once they explain once he explains what his purpose is, then we learn a little bit of information about the child. And
we learned that the child is an offspring of Yoda and Yaddle, who was slapping cheeks.
Yes. And so now here, we do not learn that. But what we learn is that the child's name is Grogu.
And Grogu was around during the Clone Wars.
That is
and
right.
You know who was also around during the Clone Wars? Yoda and Yaddle.
Well, see, here's the interesting thing. If you notice, she said she's only met one other member of his species, which I thought was weird because we saw Yaddle in the Clone Wars.
That was his side piece, though.
We saw Yaddle, and so I don't know why she said one. She was supposed to say two.
Because Yaddle was a character. She was from live action, right?
Yes, she was in the movies.
But we never saw Ahsoka in the movie. So it's, hypothetically speaking, she might not have been in the same place at the same time as Yaddle, even though Yoda was.
No, Ahsoka was around during the Clone Wars, and Yaddle was around.
But during the Clone Wars, they were at war, so they didn't spend a lot of time in the temple.
Okay, all right, I guess. I mean, it's just weird to say she'd only met one of the other species when they had to report to the council, and Yaddle was a part of that.
But my long-held theory is that
I know what your theory is
an offspring of Yoda and Yaddle.
Yes, I know what your theory is. She explains to him that he was trained at the Coruscant Jedi Temple, which lets us know he was around during all the Clone Wars.
And which lets us also know that he's over 50 years old.
Right. And then she also explains that he was trained by the Jedi Masters, but then when the Empire rose, he went into hiding. And his memories are go dark at that point. So they don't know what else. She doesn't know what else he knows.
And out of fear, he has learned to hide his powers. He doesn't use his powers or demonstrate that he actually has them.
Right. And through a series of tests, she sees that he does still have his abilities, but he has great fear and he is completely attached to Din Djarin. And because of that fear, which she lets us know that last time we trained a Jedi that had a lot of fear, and he was the best of us, he fell to the dark side. So things ended
up going really bad.
Right. And so because of that, she said she would not train him. And the
Jedi that we are alluding to is Anakin Skywalker who became Darth Vader.
She then propositions him he propositions her saying he will help her.
Speaking of that, mm-hmm. It was very seductive in the manner in which she was talking to Din Djarin a couple of times. Like for example, when he was holding the baby and the way she touched his arm, I said to myself, are they about to be a couple or something? Or the way
I
she was, or
didn't get that.
the way she was whispering to him or speaking to him like very in his personal space.
I didn't get that.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Ahsoka's been alone for quite some time.
Okay. I don't. Once again, we don't even know that as well. So then, the Mandalorian asks her that if he helps her get to the magistrate, which the magistrate is played by Diana Lee in Inosanto, and her character, as we find out, is named Morgan Elsbeth. And he promises if he helps her get to the magistrate, then then she will train him. We see them sneak in. She overtakes the magistrate. Also in the episode is Michael Biehn, and if you know Michael Biehn was Kyle Reese, the father of John Connor in the very original movie The Terminator. And
also he used to be a dead ringer for Mark Hamill.
Yes, he did. Very true. And Ahsoka finally gets to her, and throughout this episode, you're trying to figure out what data she's trying to find, and she's like, tell me where your master is. Tell me where Admiral Thrawn is. So yes, Admiral Thrawn does exist in this world of the Mandalorian. He is still running around somewhere, and we may actually get an
alluded to. We're not sure if she's means since the last time we saw Grand Admiral Thrawn in the Rebels series, or did he come back and he was spotted again? We aren't completely sure.
Right. So so then at that point, we know that we don't see exactly what Ahsoka does with Morgan.
we aren't even sure if she kills Morgan.
I'm thinking not, because that kind of goes. That's not really the way of the Jedi, even though Ahsoka is technically no longer a Jedi.
Yes.
And then she comes back out. She meets up with the Mandalorian, gives him the Beskar spear, and
tells him that she's not going to train.
Basically, and once again, we as Star Wars fans and understand the story know she's saying that with very, very good reason. She is well within her, it makes sense for her to not do it. She then goes to, and she then tells the Mandalorian to take him to, and that's the planet I can't remember either. I think it's like Triton.
And it's a planet where he can, I guess it's like I almost envision it of being sort of like a scale where he could test his powers, and if another Jedi senses it, he will step forward and come to train him.
Yeah,
that's the gist of what she informed him. But I also believe that's how many Jedi at this time are running around.
But she said that. She said there's not a lot of us left, so I don't know who would come. But she said, I'm imagining this is a planet with a lot of kyber crystals. That's what I'm thinking.
And the one issue that is gonna come up eventually, which has been on my personal belief, I tend to shy away from doing Star Wars films in which the original or anything related to Star Wars in which the original trio are alive and kicking.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't Ahsoka Tano reaching out to Luke Skywalker?
Luke Skywalker, yeah. I mean, I'm.
Those are the questions that are always going to pop up.
Well, that's the thing. I think we all need to reach out to Jon Favreau and just say, hey, listen. We're loving all these things that you're tossing in there, but is there any? Because in all honesty, they did tackle that in Rebels. Like Ezra Bridger did meet Princess Leia, and I do believe there was an episode where Luke was in it. And
as a child.
Yeah. And so
Obi-Wan was in that episode.
Yeah. And so now we need to kind of I think it does need to be addressed that the Empire has fallen, and he took Grogu to Ahsoka Tano, but realistically, there is Luke Skywalker, and everyone really should know about Luke Skywalker because he's the one that was pretty much responsible for the fall of the Emperor.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I would really like them to like at least start to make mention of him a little bit more because there's just no mention of him. And even there's this weird like the Jedi are myth. Who are the Jedi? But really, I mean, a Jedi saved the Republic in their eyes, and at least at the end of Return of the Jedi. So I'm hoping for that. I'm honestly, that would be amazing, and I think they probably could go to Sebastian Sam to play a younger
Luke Skywalker. He is under contract by Marvel, so maybe you never know. And the one topic that I love is, although the Republic is the power at this particular time, you do see that they are stretched thin.
Yeah.
So you are seeing that the seeds of how another power could slip in and fill that vacuum of law and order that the Republic is just unwilling or unable to pick up.
Right. Yeah, I think this, the only thing that I was sad about with this episode is knowing that next episode is going to be pale in comparison. Next episode is just going to be a random snow spider. So
yeah, that's the thing. And and as he was taking off, I remembered that this has been a recurring theme. They introduce him to a character that you're like, oh wow, I'm glad to see him, but then you don't see that character ever again for the remaining of the season, at least so far. Maybe they'll have like a Secret Wars team up or a Marvel's Endgame team up at the end of season 8.
Well, in all honesty, remember last season he met up with Cara Dune, he met up with Carl Weathers, and he met up with
those are characters that were just made for the show specifically.
That's true. I do think, well, it really depends on how the season ends, because now remember, we are dealing with Moff Gideon, who is trying to create force-sensitive soldiers. So it is very possible that if Ahsoka gets wind of this, that she may be a part of, like, Ahsoka, Bo-Katan. Like, they're throwing some heavy hitters out there. It is very possible at the end we may get a team up.
We may get Endgame-ish team up at the end.
I would love that. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Yeah. So our predictions for next episode.
Okay. What are your predictions?
I don't know, a space spider or a space whale.
Yeah. You're right. I believe that he is going to, well, she gave him the planet. So there is, honestly, I am 40%.
But if you notice, he never goes straight to that planet. Like, it's always a detour. And then the following episode is back to the planet.
But every episode, there's been a reason. And well, you're right. So he probably is going to need to refill. And when he gets to the refilling station, that's my prediction. Next episode, refilling station, and another just random.
Yeah, it's like he just picks up random jobs. It's like Tom goes to the gas station. Yo, Tom, you gonna come over here and kill these people?
He's gotta eat. He's gotta eat. So but yeah, those are my predictions.
Same here. But we like to say thank you for viewing us, and we will see you back. Well, we'll see you back in a couple of days for our weekly show, and then we'll also see you next Friday for episode 6, correct?
Episode 6
of The Mandalorian Season 2.
All right. Take care, everybody. See you next week.
Peace.
You've been listening to Two Brothers at a Water Cooler with Mike and Tom, produced by Jamie Fernandez and Peter Bune. Rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts, and you might find your review in a future episode.